Hi everybody, time for our second weekly challenge, okay, to get you a bit active at home. And this one involves reading, okay, so literacy-based PE challenge. So I'm going to read a short piece of this book, James and the Giant Peach. Now Tyler class, you'll know this book very well because we were reading this at school. Some of you, hopefully in Leopard and Jaguar, will know this book as well. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's quite a long book, but I'm just going to read a small section, a small excerpt from this book, okay? And the challenge is to go on a verb hunt, okay? Do you remember what a verb is? Who can tell me what a verb is? I'll listen. Anyone can shout what a verb is?
Verb. A word that is used to indicate the occurrence or performance of an action. For example, run, make, or do. Verb.
So now we know what verb is. Now your challenge is to go on a verb hunt. Now I'm going to read an excerpt from this book, as I said. And while I'm reading, me and Ava are going to go on a verb hunt and see who can find the most verbs in the section that I read now. Okay? And when you hear a verb, you're going to do the action and see who can come up with the best action to go with that verb. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin.
"Action stations!" James shouted. "Jump to it! There's not a moment to lose." He was the captain now, and everyone knew it. They would do whatever he told them. "All hands below deck except Earthworm," he ordered. "Yes, yes," they said eagerly as they scuttled into the tunnel entrance. "Come on, let's hurry!" "And you, Centipede," James shouted. "Hop downstairs and get that silkworm to work at once. Tell her to spin as she's never spun before. Our lives depend upon it. And the same applies to you, Miss Spider. Hurry on down. Start spinning." In a few minutes, everything was ready. It was very quiet now on the top of the peach. There was nobody in sight. Nobody except the earthworm. One half of the earthworm, looking like a great, thick, juicy pink sausage, lay innocently in the sun for all the seagulls to see. The other half of him was dangling down the tunnel. James was crouching close beside the earthworm in the tunnel entrance, just below the surface, waiting for the first seagull. He had a loop of silk string in his hands. The old green grasshopper and the ladybird were further down the tunnel, holding onto the earthworm's tail, ready to pull him quickly in out of danger as soon as James gave the word. And far below, in the great stone of the peach, the glowworm was lighting up the room so that the two spinners, the silkworm and Miss Spider, could see what they were doing. The centipede was down there too, exhorting them both frantically to greater efforts, and every now and again James could hear his voice coming up faintly from the depths, shouting, "Spin, silkworm, spin! Spin faster or we'll throw you to the sharks!" "Here comes the first seagull," whispered James. "Keep still now, earthworm, keep still. The rest of you get ready to pull." "Please don't let it spike me," begged the earthworm. I won't. Shh! Out of the corner of one eye, James watched the seagull as it came swooping down towards the earthworm. And then suddenly it was so close that he could see its small black eyes and its curved beak, and the beak was open, ready to grab a nice piece of flesh out of the earthworm's back. "Pull!" shouted James. The old green grasshopper and the ladybird gave the earthworm's tail an enormous tug, and like magic the earthworm disappeared into the tunnel. At the same time, up went James's hand, and the seagull flew right into the loop of silk that he was holding out. The loop, which had been cleverly made, tightened just the right amount, but not too much, around its neck, and the seagull was captured. "Hooray!" shouted the old green grasshopper, peering out of the tunnel. "Well done, James!" Up flew the seagull, with James paying out the silk string as it went. He gave it about 50 yards and then tied the string to the stem of the peach. "Next one!" he shouted, jumping back into the tunnel. "Up you get again, earthworm. Bring up some more silk, centipede." "Oh, I don't like this at all," wailed the earthworm. "You only just missed me. I even felt the wind on my back as it went swishing past." "Shh," whispered James. "Keep still. Here comes another one." So they did it again and again.
Well, there you go. That's how it works. Ava was clearly better than me at that. She found more verbs than I did. I missed about 3 or 4, I think. But you get the idea, okay? See what books you've got at home. You might be able to find a story online if you haven't got a book at home that you can use. And see who can find the most verbs. It might be you and a brother or sister or one of your grown-ups at home that does it with you, okay? And you could take turns reading to challenge the other person to see if they can do the best actions. You can do it one at a time. See what you can find. Maybe if you've done the verbs, then you could go on an adjective hunt after that. You could do the challenge with adjectives as well. Then you could do it with nouns as well. Okay? So you can mess around with it, have a few different goes. But your first challenge is to do a verb hunt, okay? Good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing your results. Goodbye.